Welcome to Pro Practice, your guide to refine, enliven, and illuminate the piano repertoire. I'm Josh Wright, and today's video is going to go over scales, arpeggios, triads, and seventh chords for the key of, let's see, what are we on? C, G, D, A, major and minor. We'll go over the diminished and augmented triads as well. Each video, every other video, I try to do one of those four things first so that you can get ideas for those, as well as a unique way to practice. So by the end of this series, you'll have at least 12 or more ways to practice your scales, arpeggios, triads, and seventh chords. Since I did scales, arpeggios, and triads the last few times, I'm going to go over seventh chords to start out with today. Okay, so if we are in the key of A, all I want you to do is form an A major triad. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about right here, you may want to just go back and take a look at the key of C video, because that was the first video I did, and that'll introduce you to all these concepts, okay? But basically, we're just going to form a major triad from the key of A, all right? And you can see on this overhead cam the notes that I'm pressing down more easily, I guess. And then all I want you to do after that is just go to the octave. Triad with the octave, okay? We're going to go through real basically and go through and identify all these. Then I'm going to give you the specific way to practice today to help you get better at these types of things, all right? So drop the seventh a half step, A, C sharp, E, G sharp. That is your major 7 chord. Drop the 7th again, dominant 7. Drop the 3rd, that's minor 7. Drop the 5th, that's half diminished. I love that chord. And then drop the 7th, that's fully diminished. Okay, so let's go through those again. Drop the 7th, that's a major 7 chord. Dominant 7, minor 7, half diminished, fully diminished. Okay, and now I'm just going to tell you which intervals to drop. 7th, 7th, 3rd, 5th, 7th. So it goes 7, 7, 3, 5, 7, if you wanted to write that down, just so you can remember. And eventually, you want to be able to identify these chords independent of going through them, because sometimes I'll say to a student, find me half diminished, and they'll go, oh, there it is. What you can do for half diminished is do a diminished triad with a whole step below A. For fully diminished, diminished triad with a step and a half below A. For minor, just do a minor triad, whole step below A. For dominant, you do a major chord with a whole step below A. Okay, and for major triad with a half step below A. Okay, so let's try that in left hand now. Go. Maybe you want to spread them apart just so you can see a little more clearly, because if they're right on top of each other, sometimes it gets confusing. This is just a triad with an octave. Sorry, messed that up. Okay, now let's go through all of the triads and all of the inversions. Okay, so an inversion is just a reordering of the chord. So if I want to put the A on top, this will be first inversion. It's the same notes, just a different order. Put the C sharp on top. Second inversion, put the E on top. Third inversion, and then we call this root position. I'm going to go slowly through these with just right hand so you can really focus on that, and then I'll play them quickly for you at the end. Say it out loud. Drop the 7th to go to dominant. Drop the 7th to go to dominant. Okay, say it out loud for me. What do we drop to get to minor? Drop the 3rd to get to minor. Drop the 3rd to get to minor. To get to half diminished. Drop the 7th to get to fully diminished. whatever fingering feels the best according to your hand size. Like for half diminished, or I mean for fully diminished, I do all 1, 2, 3, 5. But for like major, 1, 2, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 5. Sometimes you switch that fingering up according to how it feels in your hands. Okay, now for the unique little technique to work on. Today we're going to go over working with the metronome. And it's a little awkward to do this with chords, but it's also not a bad idea. Okay, so especially if you're more advanced. Okay, so we're going to go super slow. What we're going to do today, we're going to call it the 1, 2, 3, 4 method. Basically, you do 1 octave, 1 note per click, 2 octaves, 2 notes per click, 3 octaves, 3 notes per click, 4 octaves, 4 notes per click. Okay, you got to start really slow on these chords if you're not comfortable with them. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend this to start out with. Go through and watch my key of C, G, and D video for a little bit easier of stuff. But I want to do this. You can certainly do this technique with the scales and arpeggios, which we're going to go over in a little bit. And it's more user-friendly for beginners. But this is advanced for the chords. So we change it up in the video, so hopefully you don't mind. Okay, 1 octave, 1 note per click. We're just going to, let's do this for a major 7. I'm on metronome 40. Okay, now 2 octaves, 2 notes per click. So rather than doing chord, chord, I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2. Sorry. This is not that easy, okay? Let's try 3 octaves, 3 notes per click. 1, and if you have a hard time, this is what I always tell my students. Say it out loud a couple times. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 40 is so hard to gauge. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gosh, sorry, I'm going too fast. Here we go. I messed up at the end. Okay, let's try it again. Exhausting practice. Okay, so it's really good at not exhausting physically, but just to focus on all those different chords and inversions. Again, that's tough, and that's on the minimum setting of this metronome. So maybe what you should do is rather than doing 1, 2, 3, 4 for the chords, you could just do 1 octave, 1 note per click, 2 octaves, 2 notes per click, 1 octave, 3 notes per, 3 octaves, 1 note per click, 4 octaves, 2 notes per click. So you're going one note per click, 2 notes per click, 1 note per click, 2 notes per click. So you're switching it up, and that way you can go higher on the metronome. So you could, if you were at 80, that would be, for 2 notes per click, that would be the same as 40 for 4 notes per click, which was what we just did. So you could go down into like 50s and 60s, and it'll be a little easier. So just to give you an idea, 60, 2 notes per click. That seems much more manageable to do 4 octaves that way. So again, the rest of this video, we're going to go over all the other things along with some other little small tips to help you get your triads, arpeggios, and scales. And there's an important thing that I'm going to teach you with arpeggios that you won't, that some people won't want to miss because it will make it much easier for you. So let's go ahead and move on to our, let's just move on to scales. All right, so here we go. You know what? I'm going to go up to 60 to demonstrate. Okay, so for A, oh, before I move on, you can do all of your chords and 7th chords and inversions in that. I just did it with major 7 just to save time, but you could do it with all of them. Okay, here we go. 60. we're going to just go over A major to start with. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 4s are on G sharps in the right hand. Okay, 2 octaves, 2 notes per click. Here we go. Octaves, 3 notes per click. Say it out loud with me. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Four octaves, 4 notes per click. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same steps to the left hand. Now let's try hands together. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to just go through and give you a little gauge of what these different, I'm going to go up by 20s and just show you what 4 notes per click is, so you can kind of gauge where you're at right now, okay? Let's see. Hundred. Let's see. 140, 44. You know, here we go. And 144 is kind of like the college keyboard skills test out speed, at least at the school I attended. If you wanted to test out a keyboard skills as a piano major, you had to have all your major minor scales, along with a ton of other stuff like 4-voice, sight reading a string quartet. Oh, that was awful. But if you want to, you can go up to 160. Let's see. And I think, you know, A major is not my most comfortable scale, but if I was really going to push it maybe up to 176. Let's see. Gotta think about this left hand fingering. Okay, so you could sit and do that. You could keep pushing it up. I know some people, they can do their scales like 216. You know, that's just crazy. But you know, 176 is about the fastest I feel comfortable. Maybe 184 with maybe a more comfortable scale. Again, you want to focus on where your 4s go. So in A major, let's see. Let's slow this down to 100. 4 on B's in the left hand. And you know, I think the thing that was just throwing me is I must have played some A major piece where I had 4s on E's, and And sometimes you have those instances where your fingering changes. So I think that's what was just throwing me with the 176, because I think I changed my fingering. So if that ever happens to you, no worries. Just change it back or get comfortable with the fingering you do have. That feels good. But don't do some weird hybrid fingering that's not consistently like 4-3-2-1, 3-2-1. That's a bad idea. Okay, let's take a look at a minor harmonic. Again, A minor harmonic has no sharps or flats in the key signature, but we do sharp the 7th scale degree because that helps us get to harmonic minor. If you were doing natural minor, it would just be... That's harmonic minor, and the reason we want that is so that the dominant chord, which is the 5th chord above A, so this is... We want that. Okay, or... Sorry. There's your 5-7. That G sharp is needed in order to form a dominant 7th chord. Otherwise, it's going to be that. Sounds jazzy, but it doesn't sound classical. Okay, so here we go with A minor. I'm just going to do this. Let's go faster. Let's set that standard there with 144. We'll do the whole 1, 2, 3, 4 method. Okay. Let's go to 176 because I feel so ashamed about that. A major left hand fingering. Here we go. Try 184. Okay, that's probably my limit. 184. All right. So, all right. I feel a little less bad. Sorry about that. That was pathetic. My fingering was all screwed up on A major. Stuff like that bugs me. I'll probably, as soon as I finish this video, go back and rework A major until that feels good again. All right, so that's the 1, 2, 3, 4 method for scales. Okay, let's go over arpeggios. Now, there's a trick that I like to use in arpeggios with students because it helps you explore more possibilities on the metronome. I only like to do, I like to go all the way up to 4 octaves, so 1, 2, 3, 4 octaves, but I only like to do 3 notes per click on the 4th octave because you're going to max out too soon. So like for some students, let's do A major. 4 notes per click, that might be close to your maximum tempo, but if you're doing... helps, and so you can go all the way up to like 144. The smaller the increments that you use on the metronome, the more you can develop little improvements. But if you do these huge developments, like if I was going to say, okay, let's do 8 notes per click, you know, you could probably only go from 60 to 66 and then you're done, you know, or something like that. So you want to sometimes do 3 notes per click if you're a little slower player. If you're a fast player, maybe you could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, this is 130. Let's go to 144. So that's 144. We'll try 160. This will be pretty dang fast. I don't know how much faster I could go. This is 176. Okay, it's pretty useless. To do 4 notes per click, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whereas if I was at 176 right there, let me show you. I'm still exploring a healthy speed, but now I have even more to go. I can divide those into smaller increments. All right, you get the point. Let's go through it, and you know, let's do a nice middle-of-the-road tempo, since we did super slow on chords, fast on our scales. So let's try 100 for our arpeggios. Here we go. 1 octave, 1 note per click. You can always wait there and then restart, or some students like to do this. Go right into it, it's up to you. I find that if you're struggling to stay with the metronome, it's good to take a little break so you can say 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's try A minor. Left hand, you could explore 5, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, or 5, 3, 2, 1, according to what's more comfortable. I like to use 4 for the most part, and then at the very end, I might switch to 3, because 3 to 5 at the very end is a little stronger. But everywhere else, 4. It's up to you what you like, okay? All right, so that takes us through our arpeggios. Just a couple pointers on the arpeggios. I don't know if I've mentioned these in the other videos. Don't wing out your elbow when you do that, because you're only going to be able to get up to a certain speed by winging out your elbow. Whereas if you keep it nice and compact and just let the wrist be fluid, both this way, sorry, I'm moving my elbow, both this way and this way, a little bit of turning that way. It will really help a lot. And then keep your fingers active. You don't want to overlap too much, because then you get too heavy, but you also don't want jumpiness. So you want to connect it, but have clean releases and just a tiny overlap between the keys. I have pretty big hands. That's a big stretch for me. Okay, so you have to do your best. If you have smaller hands, you got to get more flexible getting up to there. Okay, so a good thing to do is just do this and then circle your hand around so that you can explore how you could spread, and you could do this with your thumb, kind of, okay, I'm going to cross under to there. Okay, so here we go. Let's go over triads and inversions. All right, so for A major, we start with A, C sharp, E. Again, the fingering, 5-3-1, 5-2-1, 5-3-1, 5-3-1 for the right hand. So 5-2-1 comes on the first inversion, everything else is 5-3-1. Since our hands are mirror images of each other, the left hand, second inversion. I've already said that in another video, I just wanted to really quickly recap. Okay? Okay, to find minor, we drop the third, so we have A, C, and E. Okay, drop this fifth to find diminished. I like to keep the fingering consistent. Even though some people might be tempted to do open fingerings, just keep it consistent to learn, and then you can do the open fingerings. By the way, open fingering is when you don't have 5 or sometimes 4 on the top, like 1, 2, 3, and then 2, 3, 5. Those are open fingerings because you still have open room at the ends of the hands. Like 1, 2, 5 or 1, 2, 4, that's pretty closed fingering because it closes off your hand. So that's the difference between open and closed fingering. Okay, and for augmented, slide back to major and then raise the fifth. Okay, let's try our little exercise. I'm going to put on the heat for this last one. I'm going to be daring. I'll try it at 80, all right? I don't know. Let's see. You know, 80 is going to be too fast. Let's try. This is going to be a challenge for me, all right? We'll just take, you know what, let me take a minor chord. It's a little easier to hang on to than a major chord. All right, 1 octave, 1 note per click. Here we go. This might be a little too fast even for me. Yeah, let me try just right hand. Let's lower it. Humble here. All right, here we go. lot of pieces that are going to make you move around that much. I mentioned this in another video, but like the Grand Polonaise. That's like one example that I can think of right off the top of my head where you're going to be doing prolonged, like some pieces, you know, might do it just for a little bit, consecutive chords, but doing, you know, up and down over and over again, that's very tiring. The whole purpose behind chords is to get you nice solid structure and also develop looseness. Oh, you know what? I was just doing C minor. I am so sorry. Let's try A. Considering we're doing A minor chords, I'm getting tired. I've probably recorded too many videos today. Let's try it at 60 to play safe. All right. It wasn't totally clean, but that gives you an idea. And the fact that I switched the chords, I apologize, but it goes to show you can do this method for C major. It's nothing special for A minor or A major, or diminished or augmented, whatever you choose to do. Again, this is a very advanced technique for chords. It's a very simple and beginner technique for scales and arpeggios because they're right off, you know, they're so close together. So I'll usually give this to students in the order that I've actually been doing these videos. So I'm going around the circle of fifths. I started with C, G, D. Today we did A. So in C major we did high fingers. In D major we did finger staccato. In C major, G major we did finger staccato. D major we did rhythms. And then today we did the 1, 2, 3, 4 method with the metronome. I hope it's been helpful. If any of you have any questions, my email is josh@joshwrightpiano.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for your support of Pro Practice.